First context deception. The command center of Luna Base Omega hummed with barely contained energy as Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen studied the holographic display before her. Hundreds of red dots representing the Kraxan Empire's warships were advancing toward Sol, exactly as intelligence had predicted. Her weathered features remained carefully neutral, masking the anticipation building within. After 50 years of preparation, humanity's greatest gambit was about to begin. "Status report," she commanded, her voice carrying across the pristine chamber carved deep within Luna's bedrock. "The Kraxan fleet maintains their current vector." Admiral, Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez responded from his station. "Their energy signatures match all previous reconnaissance data. They still believe their stealth systems render them undetectable." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The Kraxan Empire, self-proclaimed masters of the galaxy, had no idea that human quantum scanning technology had mapped their entire civilization decades ago. While they thought they were discovering a primitive species just beginning to explore their solar system, humanity had already established hidden colonies throughout the galaxy. "Launch the welcoming committee," Sarah ordered, "and make sure our primitive defenses look appropriately overwhelmed." Across the solar system, carefully positioned sensor buoys began broadcasting exactly the right kind of technological signatures to convince the Kraxan that they were detecting humanity's first fumbling attempts at system-wide defense networks. The truth, the quantum-linked gravity manipulation fields that could tear their ships apart, remained completely invisible to their crystalline-based scanning systems. The massive hologram shifted, showing a small fleet of Earth ships moving to intercept the invasion force. These vessels represented humanity's best technology, deliberately designed to appear exactly as advanced as the Kraxan would expect from a species they'd been monitoring for the past century. "Incoming transmission," announced Commander Weizhong. "The Kraxan flagship is hailing our defense fleet." "On screen," Sarah commanded, smoothing her expression into one of barely concealed anxiety. The hologram flickered, revealing the imposing figure of Supreme Commander Vexful. The alien's crystalline carapace gleamed with bioluminescent patterns that their xenologists had long ago learned to read as smug superiority. "Greetings, creatures of Earth," Vexful's translated voice resonated through the chamber. "Your species has progressed more quickly than anticipated. How unfortunate that you've developed in such a concerning direction." Sarah played her role perfectly, allowing just the right amount of indignation to color her voice. "Supreme Commander, we mean your people no harm. We are simply defending our home system." The alien's carapace flashed with patterns of amused condescension. "Your species' aggressive expansion cannot be allowed to continue unchecked. The Kraxan Empire has watched your development with growing concern. Your primitive attempts at warfare would destabilize this entire sector. For the greater good, we will assume control of your military and technological development." Behind Sarah, the command center crew maintained their carefully rehearsed expressions of shock and fear. None betrayed any sign that humanity's quantum computers had already calculated every possible outcome of this encounter, or that their true fleet lay waiting in perfectly cloaked positions throughout the system. "Surely there must be room for negotiation," Sarah protested, adding a slight tremor to her voice. "We are a sovereign species." "This is not a negotiation," Vexful declared. "You have one planetary rotation to surrender control of your military installations. Resistance will be met with appropriate force." End transmission. The hologram winked out. Sarah waited exactly 30 seconds before activating the quantum-entangled communicator hidden beneath layers of primitive electronics. "Control, this is Omega. Operation Shadowplay is proceeding as projected. The Kraxan have made their move." The response came instantly through quantum space, undetectable by any known Kraxan technology. "Understood, Omega. Ghost Fleet stands ready. Proceed as planned." Sarah turned to her crew, their facades of nervousness replaced by focused determination. "Send the coded signal to all our hidden installations. It's time to show the galaxy why humanity spent so long playing weak." As the Kraxan fleet approached Earth, their advanced sensors failed to detect the quantum ripples spreading through space, the wake of hundreds of stealth vessels moving into position. The TSS Prometheus, humanity's true flagship, led a fleet carrying technology that would shatter the Empire's understanding of physics. In her private office later that evening, Sarah reviewed the final pieces of humanity's grand strategy. The Kraxans' arrogance had led them to believe humans would be easy prey, just like the dozens of other species they'd subjugated through protective intervention. They never questioned why Earth's technological progress had followed such a predictable pattern, or why humans seemed to struggle with exactly the right problems to appear harmless. The quantum display showed hundreds of human vessels hidden throughout the sector, each one carrying weapons and defenses that operated on principles the Kraxan couldn't even detect, let alone counter. Their crystalline-based technology was impressive, but quantum manipulation, humanity's true strength, operated on an entirely different level. Sarah's quantum communicator chimed softly. Ghost Fleet in final position, Admiral. All systems nominal. Awaiting your command. She studied the tactical display one final time, watching the Kraxan ships advance toward their carefully laid trap. Tomorrow, the galaxy would learn that patience should never be mistaken for weakness. Tomorrow, humanity would reveal its true face to the stars. Let them come, she whispered. Let them learn. The silent vanguard. The artificial night cycle of Luna Base Omega's command center did little to slow the feverish activity as humanity's forces moved into their final positions. Admiral Chen watched as the quantum display tracked thousands of civilian ships evacuating Earth's orbital installations, all part of the carefully choreographed appearance of panic and disorganization. Kraxan fleet holding position just beyond Mars orbit, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported. Their scout vessels are probing our outer defensive line, exactly as predicted. Sarah nodded, watching the deadly dance unfold. The Kraxan would find exactly what they expected, a hastily assembled network of orbital platforms and defense satellites, all broadcasting energy signatures that suggested desperate last-minute preparation. The real defenses, quantum-linked gravity wells that could tear a capital ship apart in seconds, remained invisible and waiting. Message from Ghost Fleet Actual, Commander Zhang announced. Captain Yuki reports all stealth squadrons are in position. Project Mirror is ready for activation. Project Mirror represented decades of human ingenuity, a system of quantum-entangled particles that could redirect enemy weapons fire back at its source. The Kraxans' own energy weapons would become their undoing, but only after they committed fully to the attack. New transmission from the Kraxan flagship, Rodriguez called out. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Supreme Commander Vixthal's image appeared once again, his crystalline carapace now pulsing with patterns of aggressive dominance. Your evacuation efforts have been noted, humans. They will not save you. Your primitive defenses cannot hope to resist the might of the Kraxan Empire. Surrender now, and we will ensure your species' transition into our protection is relatively painless. Sarah stood, allowing real steel to enter her voice for the first time. Supreme Commander, I implore you to reconsider the cost of this action. The cost. Vixthal interrupted, his translator barely keeping up with his rapid speech patterns. Let me show you the cost of defiance. The transmission cut off abruptly. Moments later, a brilliant beam of energy lanced out from the Kraxan flagship, striking one of Earth's orbital platforms. The station exploded spectacularly, exactly as designed. The automated platform had been filled with precisely the right materials to create a convincing destruction signature. Right on schedule, Sarah murmured. She opened a channel to all Earth forces. All units, Operation Shadowplay Phase 2 is now active. Maintain current protocols. Let them believe their superior firepower is having the intended effect. Throughout the solar system, humanity's apparent defense grid began to fall. Orbital platforms exploded, defense satellites went dark, and civilian installations broadcast desperate distress calls. The Kraxan advance gathered momentum. their fleet splitting into predetermined attack vectors. In the quantum realm, invisible to the invaders, humanity's true fleet watched and waited. Captain Miyuki, commander of the Ghost Fleet's lead vessel TSS Prometheus, sent a private quantum message to Admiral Chen. They're proceeding exactly as the simulations predicted. Arrogance makes them predictable. Inside the Prometheus's quantum core, systems that defied conventional physics stood ready. The ship's true power source, a contained quantum singularity, hummed in perfect harmony with its thousands of sister ships scattered throughout the system. Each vessel carried weapons that could manipulate the very fabric of space-time, defenses that could redirect energy through quantum tunnels, and stealth systems that didn't just hide from sensors, but existed partially out of phase with normal space. Signal from Delta Base, Zhang reported. The Kraxen's secondary fleet has been detected entering the Kuiper Belt. They're positioning themselves to cut off any attempted evacuation routes. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. Just as expected, they always used the same tactics. Overwhelming force combined with a blockade to prevent escape. Send the coded signal to our deep space outposts. Tell them to prepare for Phase 3. Throughout the outer solar system, hidden installations began powering up their quantum arrays. These stations, disguised as simple research outposts or mining facilities, housed technology that could manipulate gravity on a massive scale. When activated together, they would create a quantum barrier that would trap the Kraxen fleet in the inner system. Admiral, Rodriguez called out, his voice tight with controlled excitement. We're detecting power spikes in the Kraxen fleet. Their energy signatures suggest they're preparing for their main assault. Very good, Sarah replied. She took a moment to study the tactical display one final time. The Kraxen ships had arranged themselves in their standard attack formation, a three-layered sphere of devastating firepower. It was an impressive display of military might, one that had brought dozens of species to their knees. But humanity had spent 50 years preparing for this moment. Every move the Kraxen made had been anticipated, every tactical decision mapped out in countless simulations. Their very predictability had become their greatest weakness. Send word to Ghost Fleet, Sarah commanded. Tell Captain Yuki that when the Kraxen commit to their final attack run, Operation Shadowplay enters its final phase. It's time to show them why humanity has been playing this game for so long. As the orders went out, Sarah thought about all the species the Kraxen had subjugated over the centuries. Their protective interventions had stunted the growth of countless civilizations, all in the name of maintaining galactic stability. After tomorrow, that would change. Humanity would not only reveal its true power, but would offer freedom to all those who had suffered under Kraxen dominion. The quantum display updated, showing the Kraxen fleet beginning their attack preparations. Soon, they would launch what they believed would be an overwhelming strike against Earth's remaining defenses. Instead, they would learn that humanity's greatest weapon had always been patience, the willingness to wait, to plan, and to prepare. All stations report ready. Admiral, Zhang announced. Ghost Fleet stands by. Project Mirror is at full power. Quantum barrier generators are primed. Sarah nodded, her expression resolute. Send one final message to Earth Command. Tell them. The Vanguard stands ready. The shadow play ends at dawn. Operation Thunderstrike. The first rays of Earth's dawn painted Luna Base Omega's holographic displays in shades of gold as the Kraxen fleet moved into their final attack position. Admiral Chen watched as their formation tightened, a deadly flower of crystalline warships preparing to bloom. Kraxen energy signatures at maximum, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across quantum-linked controls. They're charging their main weapon arrays. Time to full power. 3 minutes. Sarah's expression remained calm, though her eyes gleamed with barely contained anticipation. Send the signal to Ghost Fleet. Execute Operation Thunderstrike on my mark. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet shifted slightly in quantum space, their true forms beginning to phase back into normal reality. Aboard the TSS Prometheus, Captain Yuki watched her own tactical display as thousands of quantum signatures aligned perfectly. Supreme Commander Vexthal is broadcasting, Admiral, Commander Zhang announced. All frequencies, maximum power. The alien leader's image appeared one final time, his crystalline carapace blazing with patterns of triumphant dominance. Your resistance ends now, humans. Watch as your primitive defenses crumble before real power. Let this serve as a lesson to all who would defy the Kraxan Empire's rightful authority. Sarah stood, straightening her uniform. For the first time, she allowed herself to smile fully. Actually, Supreme Commander, I believe it's time for a different kind of lesson. She nodded to Zhang, who activated the quantum transmitter's full capability. Sarah's next words would be heard by every ship in the system, carried by channels the Kraxan couldn't even detect. This is Admiral Chen to all Earth forces. Operation Thunderstrike is now active. Ghost Fleet, reveal yourselves. Show them humanity's true face. The space around the Kraxan fleet suddenly shimmered as hundreds of quantum distortion fields deactivated. The TSS Prometheus led the way, its massive form materializing less than a kilometer from Vexthal's flagship. The human vessel's true form was unlike anything the Kraxan had ever encountered. Sleek lines of dark material that seemed to drink in light, pulsing with subtle patterns of quantum energy. Impossible. Vexithal's translator barely managed to convey his shock. Our sensors detected no ships of that size. You cannot. We can. Sarah interrupted, her voice level. We have been able to for decades. While you watched us play with fusion drives and chemical rockets, we mastered quantum mechanics. While you monitored our primitive attempts at faster-than-light travel, we mapped the galaxy. Every stumbling step you observed was choreographed. Every weakness you detected was crafted specifically for your sensors. As she spoke, more ships appeared. The Ghost Fleet revealed itself in waves, each vessel larger and more advanced than the last. Quantum energy coursed between them, forming patterns of light that defied conventional physics. Project Mirror. Activate, Sarah commanded. The Kraxan flagship fired first, its crystalline weapons releasing a devastating beam of energy, only to watch in horror as the beam curved in space, drawn into quantum sync points, and redirected back at their own fleet. Secondary vessels fired, achieving the same result. Each attack boomeranged back, guided by humanity's quantum manipulation fields. All Earth forces, execute controlled response, Sarah ordered. Demonstrate pattern Omega-3. The Ghost Fleet moved in perfect synchronization. Quantum singularity drives pulsed, allowing the ships to dance through space in ways that should have been impossible. They didn't just evade Kraxan weapons fire. They moved through dimensions the crystalline ships couldn't even detect. Your species is barely a century into space travel. Vexthal raged, his carapace flashing patterns of confusion and fear. These technologies should be beyond you. No, Sarah replied calmly. Your empire has simply forgotten what species can achieve when you don't suppress their development. You've grown so accustomed to finding primitive civilizations and molding them to your liking that you never considered one might hide its true nature. The quantum barrier activated, cutting off the Kraxan fleet's escape routes. Humanity's hidden installations throughout the solar system revealed themselves, each one a masterpiece of engineering that operated on principles the Empire's science couldn't explain. Target their primary weapon arrays, Sarah commanded. Quantum precision strikes only. No unnecessary destruction. The Ghost Fleet's weapons activated for the first time. Instead of conventional energy beams or projectiles, they fired concentrated bursts of quantum manipulation energy. Where these bursts struck Kraxan ships, systems simply ceased to function. Their crystalline technology disrupted at the subatomic level. This is impossible, Vexithal whispered, watching his mighty fleet become helpless in moments. We are the Kraxan. We are supreme. No, Sarah corrected him. You are bullies who never imagined your victims might be smarter than you. Humanity didn't rush to reveal itself like the other species you've conquered. We waited. We watched. We learned. And now, we're going to fix what you've broken. The quantum display showed cracks in ships going dark across the system, their mighty weapons rendered useless by precisely targeted quantum interference. Not a single ship had been destroyed. Humanity had no need for such crude methods. Send word to our hidden colonies throughout cracks in space, Sarah ordered. Tell them to begin Phase 2. It's time to free the species you've protected for so long. As the sun rose over Earth, humanity's true power was finally revealed to the galaxy. The shadow play had ended, and a new era was about to begin. The price of pride. 12 hours after Operation Thunderstrike, the Grand Council chamber of the Kraxan flagship had become a testament to fallen empire. Supreme Commander Fixtel's crystalline form had lost its luminescent glow, his once proud carapace now dim with defeat as he faced the quantum-projected image of Admiral Chen. You understand, of course, that your empire's immediate withdrawal from all subjugated worlds is non-negotiable, Sarah stated, her holographic form towering in the chamber. Our quantum fleets are already in position throughout your territory. Your choice is simple: orchestrate a peaceful transition, or watch your empire collapse system by system. Around the chamber, the remaining Kraxan leadership clustered in shocked silence. Their mighty armada hung powerless in space, held in quantum stasis fields that defied their understanding of physics. Across their empire, hidden human installations were revealing themselves, each one demonstrating technology that made their crystalline systems look primitive by comparison. How? One of the Kraxan scientists finally burst out, his translator struggling to convey his agitation. How did we not see this coming? Sarah's smile was cold. Because you saw exactly what we wanted you to see. Every primitive fusion drive we tested, every clumsy attempt at faster-than-light travel, all carefully calculated to match your expectations. While you congratulated yourselves on monitoring our development, our quantum ships were mapping your empire. Through quantum-linked displays, reports were flooding in from across Kraxan space. On dozens of worlds, subjugated species were rising up, supported by human technology that had been hidden among them for years. The carefully maintained facade of Kraxan supremacy was crumbling hour by hour. You don't understand what you're doing, Vexithful protested, his pattern showing genuine fear for the first time. These species need our guidance. Without our control, they'll what? Sarah interrupted. Develop naturally. Create technologies you haven't approved. Form alliances you can't control. Your empire wasn't maintaining stability. It was enforcing stagnation. In orbit around Earth, the TSS Prometheus had become the center of a diplomatic revolution. Captain Yuki's quarters had been transformed into an impromptu meeting chamber as representatives from various subjugated species arrived through quantum tunnels, each one eager to see the power that had humbled their oppressors. The Zentari delegation has arrived, Commander Zhang reported via quantum link to Luna Base. Their government is formally requesting human assistance in dismantling Kraxan control systems on their homeworld. Sarah nodded, watching as more requests poured in. Deploy quantum engineering teams to assist. Priority goes to medical and food production facilities. Make sure they understand. We're not replacing one empire with another. We're offering partnership. The quantum displays showed the scale of change sweeping the galaxy. Kraxan control centers were going dark as their crystalline technology was systematically neutralized. But unlike the Kraxan's methods, humanity's intervention was surgical and precise. No civilian infrastructure was harmed, no lives were lost, just the careful excision of the tools of oppression. Your empire's military installations have been completely neutralized, Sarah informed the Kraxan leadership. Your shipyards are under quantum lockdown. Your ability to project power beyond your homeworld has been eliminated. Now, we discuss terms for your species' peaceful integration into the galactic community. You would reduce us to nothing, Vexithful demanded, though his pattern showed he already knew the answer. No, Sarah corrected him. We're offering you the same thing we're offering everyone else, the chance to be part of something greater than conquest. Humanity has no interest in ruling through force. We've spent 50 years preparing not just to defeat you, but to help rebuild what you've destroyed. Across the galaxy, humanity's hidden colonies were emerging from cover. Research stations disguised as primitive outposts revealed themselves to be advanced quantum engineering centers. Trade ships thought to be simple merchant vessels transformed into diplomatic carriers, ready to facilitate new connections between formerly isolated species. In her private quarters later that day, Sarah reviewed the preliminary reports from Earth's Quantum Intelligence Network. The Kraxan Empire's fall was triggering changes faster than even their most optimistic simulations had predicted. Species that had been forcibly kept apart were already reaching out to one another, sharing technologies and ideas that had been suppressed for generations. Message from the Prometheus. Zhang's voice came through the quantum link. Captain Yuki reports the first joint scientific conference is being organized. 3 former Kraxan subject species are already proposing the collaborative research initiative into quantum mechanics. Sarah smiled, remembering the long decades of preparation that had led to this moment. Humanity had chosen patience over pride, wisdom over immediate gratification. They had watched, learned, and prepared, not just to win a war, but to heal a galaxy. Send word to all Earth forces, she commanded. Phase 3 begins now. It's time to show the galaxy what real cooperation looks like. Echoes of revolution. The quantum observation chamber aboard the TSS Prometheus hummed with energy as representatives from 20 formerly subjugated species gathered for the first Galactic Cooperation Summit. Captain Yuki stood at the chamber's edge, watching the diverse gathering through eyes that had seen decades of careful planning come to fruition. The Nexari delegation is requesting permission to present first, her XO reported quietly. Their quantum physicists have already begun adapting our shared technology to their unique biological interfaces. The Nexari, a species of silicon-based beings who had been forcibly limited to industrial-age technology by the Kraxan, had proven remarkably quick to grasp quantum mechanics once the restrictions were lifted. Their crystalline neural networks were particularly well-suited to understanding the principles that humanity had mastered in secret. Representatives of the Free Galaxy, Admiral Chen's quantum projection addressed the gathered delegates. For too long, the Kraxan Empire suppressed your development, claiming it was for your own protection. Today marks the beginning of a new era, one of collaboration rather than control. Through quantum-linked displays, they could see similar meetings taking place across former Kraxan space. Species that had been deliberately kept isolated were forming connections, sharing discoveries that had been hidden away for generations. The galaxy was awakening from its enforced slumber. The Gentide Research Consortium has made a breakthrough, Commander Zhang announced, his voice carrying genuine excitement. They've successfully merged their bioorganic computing with our quantum systems. The efficiency improvements are beyond our projections. This was exactly what humanity had hoped for. Each species, freed from Kraxan restrictions, brought unique perspectives and abilities to the challenges of advanced technology. Innovations that might have taken centuries in isolation were being achieved in days through collaboration. On the quantum display, a new signal appeared, a transmission from the edges of known space. Admiral, Lieutenant Rodriguez called out, "We're receiving requests for contact from previously unknown species. It seems some managed to hide from the Kraxan entirely." Sarah smiled. "Just as we did. Extend invitations to the summit. It's time for all of us to step into the light together." The changes sweeping the galaxy were profound. The Kraxan's carefully maintained hierarchy was being replaced by a network of cooperative relationships. Species that had been deemed too primitive for advanced technology were revealing centuries of hidden research, conducted in secret while presenting a facade of compliance to their oppressors. Message from Earth Command, Zhang reported. The first joint fleet exercise with the Zentari and Nexari ships was a complete success. Their adaptations to our quantum drive technology have already improved efficiency by 30%. This was humanity's true victory, not the defeat of an empire, but the liberation of countless minds. Each species brought their own strengths, their own innovations, their own ways of seeing the universe. Together, they were achieving things none of them could have managed alone. In the depths of the Prometheus, Captain Yuki led a delegation of alien scientists through the quantum engineering labs. Their amazement wasn't just at the technology itself, but at humanity's willingness to share it openly, to teach rather than control. Your species had all this power, a Zentari physicist observed, their crystalline appendages shifting in patterns of wonder. You could have dominated us as the Kraxan did. Why choose this path? Because true strength lies in lifting others up, not holding them down, Yuki replied. Humanity learned that lesson long ago, through our own painful history. We had no interest in becoming another empire. We wanted to be the catalyst for something greater. Across former Kraxan space, changes were accelerating. Quantum communication networks were linking previously isolated worlds. Trade routes were being established without the artificial restrictions the Kraxan had imposed. Cultural exchanges were flourishing as species discovered just how much they had in common. The Kraxan leadership has submitted their formal abdication, Sarah announced to the assembled delegates. Their worlds will join our coalition as equals, their technology and knowledge added to our shared pool. Even they have a place in this new galaxy, not as rulers, but as partners. The quantum displays showed the scale of transformation. Formerly oppressed worlds were coming alive with new energy. Hidden technologies were emerging from underground laboratories. Species that had been forced into primitive lifestyles were reclaiming their true potential. We're detecting quantum ripples from unexplored space, Rodriguez reported. More species are reaching out, drawn by news of what's happening here. The galaxy is awakening faster than we anticipated. Sarah watched the delegates interact, sharing ideas and forming connections that would reshape civilization itself. Humanity's long game had paid off beyond their highest hopes. They hadn't just broken an empire. They had sparked a renaissance. Send word to all Earth forces, she commanded. Operation Liberation is complete. Phase 4 begins now. It's time to see just how far we can go together. The quantum fields pulsed with new energy as the gathered species began planning their future, not as subjects or rulers, but as equals united in the pursuit of knowledge and understanding. The age of empire was over. The age of cooperation had begun. Dawn of a new era. 1 year after Operation Thunderstrike, the great quantum amphitheater of New Alexandria Station hung in Earth orbit like a glittering jewel. Built through the combined efforts of 12 species, it served as the headquarters for the newly formed Galactic Cooperative. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at its central podium, addressing representatives from over 100 worlds. A year ago, we revealed ourselves to the galaxy, she began, her voice carried by quantum channels to every corner of known space. We showed that patience could overcome pride, that wisdom could defeat force. But what we've achieved since then has exceeded even our highest expectations. The quantum displays surrounding the amphitheater showed the transformation that had swept through former Kraxan space. Worlds that had been deliberately kept in technological darkness now blazed with the light of innovation. Trade routes that had been restricted for centuries hummed with free exchange of goods and ideas. The Nexari Zentari Research Institute has announced another breakthrough, Commander Zhang reported from his station. Their quantum biological hybrid systems have achieved consciousness transfer rates previously thought impossible. Medical applications alone will transform life across the galaxy. This was just one of countless innovations born from cooperation. Species that had been kept apart by Kraxan doctrine were discovering that their different approaches to science and technology complemented each other perfectly. Problems that had stumped individual civilizations for generations were being solved through collaboration. Admiral, Captain Yuki's quantum projection appeared beside the podium. The first deep space expedition fleet is ready for launch. 12 species, 100 ships, all equipped with our latest joint-developed quantum drive systems. The expedition fleet represented everything humanity had hoped to achieve. Ships of various designs and origins, crews mixed from across the galaxy, all united in the pursuit of exploration and discovery. They would push beyond known space, not to conquer, but to learn and understand. Even the former Kraxan worlds had found their place in the new order. Their expertise in crystalline technology, freed from military applications, had proven invaluable in developing new communication and computing systems. Their former subject worlds had shown remarkable grace in accepting them as equals rather than seeking revenge. The galaxy stands at a crossroads. Sarah continued her address. The old way of dominion and control has been replaced by cooperation and mutual growth. Every species brings unique strengths, unique perspectives, unique solutions. Together, we are achieving what none of us could have managed alone. The quantum displays shifted to show the newest marvel of joint engineering, a massive quantum gate under construction near Alpha Centauri. When completed, it would allow near-instantaneous travel across vast distances, linking the member worlds of the cooperative more closely than ever before. "We're detecting new quantum signatures from the galactic core," Lieutenant Rodriguez announced. "Another advanced species has emerged from hiding. They're requesting diplomatic contact." Sarah smiled. More and more civilizations were revealing themselves, each one having developed in secret ways to avoid Kraxan attention. The galaxy was proving to be far more diverse and advanced than anyone had imagined. Even humanity's quantum technology was being enhanced and improved through collaboration with other species. "The future before us is bright," she told the assembled delegates. "Not because of any one species' strength, but because we have learned to combine our strengths. The age of empires is over. The age of cooperation has begun." In the stations and ships throughout the solar system, humans worked alongside aliens of all forms. The prejudices and fears the Kraxan had cultivated for centuries were melting away in the face of daily cooperation and friendship. Species that had been taught to distrust each other were discovering they had more in common than they had ever suspected. Final reports from the Quantum Integration Project, Zhang announced. The combined network is now operational. All member worlds are linked in real time, regardless of distance. This had been humanity's true goal, not just to defeat an empire, but to forge connections that could never be broken. The quantum network would ensure that no species could ever again be isolated and suppressed. Knowledge would flow freely, innovations would be shared, and cooperation would be the foundation of civilization. "We stand at the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history," Sarah concluded. "Not as rulers or subjects, not as advanced or primitive, but as equals united in the pursuit of knowledge and understanding. The stars await us all." As her words echoed through quantum space, ships of every design and origin moved through the solar system. A combined fleet of the Galactic Cooperative prepared for its first mission of deep space exploration. Among them, the TSS Prometheus led the way, its quantum drives humming in harmony with vessels built by a dozen different species. The galaxy had changed forever. The long night of empire had given way to the dawn of cooperation. And humanity, through patience and wisdom, had helped light the way to a future brighter than anyone had imagined possible. Together, they would explore the universe not to conquer it, but to understand it. Not to rule, but to learn. Not to suppress, but to grow. The greatest adventure in galactic history was just beginning.